Ladies and gentlemen, I am Will, and today we are looking at Eco. It's a what I would call an ecological simulator, and it's developed and published by Strange Loop Games. They've done one other game in the past, according to Steam, called Vessel back in 2012, and this game was kickstarted for a grand total of $202,000. Pledge goal was $100,000. So they smashed through, they more than doubled their Kickstarter goal, which is fantastic. And it's a game that I've been following very closely for quite a while. And after it was released on Steam in 2018, so it was a little over 2 years ago now, it was February 2018. No, 4 years ago now. I'm still in 2020 mode. There's been lots of updates and lots of news about it. So me and a few friends decided to grab it and jump in and see what Eco actually is all about. Now, quick premise of the game is you have to save the world. And you do that by, there's an asteroid, it's going to hit the planet, and you've got to save the planet. You've got to destroy the asteroid before it hits the planet. And it is definitely a community-focused cooperation game where you work together, and depending on the settings you choose of the server, you have to work together to save the planet. So yeah, let's jump into it. Let's jump into the settings of the game first of all. You have general settings, lots of different language options. There's a fantastic, massive accessibility for not just English speakers, but massive amount. So you've got Dutch, French, Espanol, Italian, Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese as well, and other languages. And some accessibility, arachnophobia, accessibility, head bobbing. I think this is for motion sickness. I would like to see colorblind options. I don't think there is any colorblind options, but that's something I definitely would love to see as colorblind options. For me personally, I am colorblind, and it is really annoying when games don't add it in. It's very challenging in some scenarios for me. I haven't had any issues with this game specifically, but a colorblind option would be useful. So audio's pretty good. You have a number of different audio sources, from ambient, volume, UI, sound effects, and music. So that's reasonable. I would like a master toggle as well, but I found myself turning them all down instead of being able to just adjust the different levels and then turn the whole game down. So a master audio is missing here, but stuff like integrated voice chats, you don't have to use Discord, is really, really good. You've got radius there, push to talk, open mic, and you can pick your different device there as well as the voice volume and microphone volume. So that's really, really good. Controls, fantastic set of control options, all rebindable from what I can see. Mouse sensitivity, fantastic. Scroll sensitivity, and you even get select a primary and secondary option for the keybinds, which is again really, really good to see. Great customization in the controls there. Graphics is really quite nice in some places and not so great in others. The reason for that is one of the great things this options menu has is when you hover over an option, let's say VSync for instance, it'll explain to you what VSync is, as well as give you the performance impact, which is fantastic. Therefore, you can tailor the game's graphical settings of what's best for your PC. Now, I am running a i7-9600K. I am running a 2080 Ti, 32 gig of RAM. It's a reasonably beefy PC. Definitely not top spec anymore, but it's a reasonably beefy PC. And I found massive performance issues with this game straight off the bat. This game is in early access and is in heavy development. There's lots of updates. They're not massively frequent, but the team's not massive, so we'll lay off that. But there is definitely an active development. There's definitely lots of updates to do. Their website has fantastic things with who's developing what and where and what's going on or where they are with certain bits. So check that out if you're interested. But the game definitely is not optimized greatly. I don't think it's a graphical issue, though. I don't think it's a graphics optimization issue. I think it's more a data issue and numbers issue. There's a lot of information and a lot of data, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. So we can have borderless, full screen, and windowed modes. Fantastic. A number of different resolutions here. I've got mine set to 1440p. Target frame rates. Fantastic. You can set this up to 14,000 if you really want to. That's fine. Because the game doesn't run amazingly, I set mine to 60. So I think that's fine. You've got your AA here. One thing I would like for the AA is a breakdown of what AA is what. The best way of doing this is probably like a picture, where you change this and it changes the picture. But yeah, I think this is really good. It's a nice range of AA from off to FX AA to SM AA, low, medium, and high. But there's no like TAA or anything like that. But no DLAA, which is the DLSS, sorry, not AA. But that's NVIDIA's AI upscaling, and also there's no AMD AI upscaling. I can't remember the name of that one. But you've also got a number of options for ambient occlusion, bloom, reflections, underwater distortion. This is not real-time ray tracing. This is just a graphical effect. For reflections, it's not RTX. Yeah, and then you've got shadow quality. Goes from fastest to fantastic. I'm not a fan of this use of fastest, stuff like that. It doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't give a good definition of what is beautiful, what is good, what is fantastic, what is fast, what is fastest. Like, is fastest just shadows off? Is that what it is? Don't know. It doesn't tell me. Level of detail also goes up to 200%, which is a bit odd. Goes down to 20%, which I think is you can see actually changing in the background here, which seems to happen with some settings, but not all. For instance, AA, if I turn that off, I can't see a difference between that being off and max SM AA. But at level of detail goes from 20% all the way up to 200%. I don't know why it's 200%. 100% level of detail would be everything available is on screen, right? It's 100%. So I'm not sure what the 200% is all about. But anyway, it's nice to have that granularity, though, of the level of detail. And a lot of the options have that. Render scale, you can see that changes the render scale of the actual game itself, not changing the resolution of your game. So if you feel the game's not running great, you can turn the render scale down a bit and adjust there if needs be. First person field of view, which is as important as colorblind mode for motion sickness and stuff like that. The way the first person field of view works is it bends the screen. I think it's the best way of me describing it. So when I normally like to play around 100 if I can, but I found with this game it bends the screen too much. It does go up to 120. And so I found that 80 was a sweet spot where I'd get less bending of the screen, but it wasn't too narrow. But it can go all the way down to 20 if you want to go to 20. I'm not sure why it goes that far down, but the fact the choice is there for you to go from 20 to 100 is really nice because it's giving player choice. So that's really good. Third person field of view, again, not necessary like it is in first person, but it's nice that it's there. Goes from 55 to 68. So good job on the field of view sliders there. View distance. I would like to know what 150 means. You've said it's a view distance. You've said the performance impact is high, but what is this? 150 meters? Is this 200 meters? Is this 80 meters? What is the distance? What are we dealing with there? In the terms of the field of view. Minimap detail is quite nice. The issue I have with this, though, is there's no stat. There's no stat at all to it. So I don't know if this is different to this. There could be 100 and this could be 101. I have no idea. So this needs some sort of stat next to it, because at the moment it's just a generic slider. It is more than possible that this just doesn't do anything. So yeah, I haven't even touched that. Interface scaling is always nice when you're dealing with really big displays. So if you go past 30 inches or a widescreen, ultra wide screens, having your interface scale is really nice, especially those 4K monitors. But 1440p, I feel like 100% is fine, and a memory limiter as well is very nice to have on your GPU. Sometimes you don't want your GPU kicking out everything it's got, so it's nice to limit that down. especially in this game where you have to wait for crafts and stuff like that. So that's quite nice. Yeah, overall though, the graphics options are reasonable. Reasonable. It's darn sight better than some games I've seen, and but not sort of like the absolute pinnacle. I would say this is fine for what we have in the game. So that is fine. And I just quit the game out, so that's a really, really good start. So what I'm going to show you guys is a number of options when it comes down to your worlds, which are your levels or your games, your servers, that kind of thing. And then we're going to jump into my one, which ends tonight. And I'll explain what I mean by ends tonight. Yeah, we'll show you guys around the game. So if you click your worlds, you'll have all the worlds you connect to. So I've got a server running. I've got a dedicated server running using their server architecture. That server system, it's fantastic, by the way. If any of you run Minecraft servers and like setting up your own servers like I do, their server systems are amazing. Honest to God, absolutely amazing. I love it. Lots of granularity in it. You've also got some official servers here, and then you've got some local ones. I set up one today. Hi, YouTube. Just to like play around with some stuff and double check some bits and pieces. So yeah, there's that on there, which is great. When you've connected to a server, you have this continue, and it says what the server is, how many days the server's been running, and how many users are online. So that's fantastic because it's that ease of use of you just being able to load the game up, click continue, and you jump into a server you're working on. Because the game is focused on a cooperative experience where you're all working together, and these servers can be sort of like 75 plus players strong, and everyone's working together, it's nice to you to just jump into the server you've always been playing on. It's quick. You don't have to go to your worlds and then like cycle through the servers. You can literally just click continue game and carry on where you left off. So that's really, really nice. You got your worlds, like we've already seen. Host a world for you can host you and your friends. And you've got new worlds. So this is cool because these are all live servers right now. And these are labeled into different categories. So new players, if you're new to the game. You've got cities upon a hill, which are welcoming to new citizens or new players, but they are established cities the players have built up. And then you've got the high collaboration, so the game gets a little bit harder. You really need to work together. You can see that people got really hard, slow, peace, no meteor, governments, that kind of stuff. Because the game has a kind of crazy government system and citizens system, and it goes crazy, which I'm not going to be getting into today. I just want to show you guys what the game is, and then if you guys like the look of it, you can get it and run into it and look into it and play around with that kind of stuff. You've got strange worlds, and then you've got the host a private world option as well. So collaboration. So the game is all about working together to destroy an incoming meteorite. The meteorite is set to a timer, which is by default 30 days. You can see that here. 30 days of impact. You can change that. And the meteor, you can even turn the meteor off. And the meteor will crash into your planet within 30 days, on 30 days or more or less. And if you don't destroy the asteroid will destroy you. I'm going to leave that there. For the people who play Eco, you know what I mean. For the people who don't, have fun. Allow your friends to join, generate random landscapes, and then you have different modifiers here for the way the crafting works, for the way the skill system works, which we'll get into. But it's really, really nice that what you can do is, with me and my friends, I've played 170 hours of the game. And I can now go, right, I want to play Eco again. What was the issues I had last time? Well, I had this issue, this issue, this issue. Crafting took too long. Didn't get resource multiplier, wasn't enough. Maybe skill gain was too much. That kind of thing. And I can either go by one of their default presets, high collaboration, medium collaboration, low collaboration, and no collaboration, depending on the number of people I'm playing with. So we played on low collaboration, it was 4 of us. And then I could even go custom and really set the multipliers granularly. Like, you can go up by 0.1. And so you can really tailor the server specifically to you, your team, your friends, and the experience you want, which is fantastic. I'm a massive component of player choice, playing the game how you want to. If you want to play on your own, you could say no collaboration, do everything on your own, and just play and just have fun and just go throughout the game and do whatever you want, really. Set this to 90 days and go for a 3-month slog of building your city and doing your thing, whatever you want to do. And the game is full of that. And the server side stuff, which I've already said I love, is jam-packed full of that stuff. It's really, really, really cool. It's also, when you host a server, there's a website. It hosts the server for the game, and it also hosts a website. So this website that the game hosts when you host a server, and anyone who the server credentials can access, will show you the full statistics page of what your world is doing right now, from pollution levels to tree population and animal populations. And it's really cool. So when you're running giant servers, like I was talking about, you can really make sure that your world is balanced in the way the players are playing. And that links into like a law system and a government system and all sorts of stuff. So you can go crazy with this game. Crazy. It's really interesting to see what communities have done with it. So let's just jump into the game and explain what the game actually is. So, like I said, it's an ecological simulator. That's the best way I can describe it. So, if you went and killed all the deer on your planet, then all the wolves would have less food to eat. So the wolves might start dying off, and vice versa. If you pollute the world, this is our world we've made. It's an absolute mess. That's a platform that we've built so that we can watch the world burn. There's Brum, the car. So when you play around with like pollution and stuff, because all your machines and your vehicles, this vehicle here pumps out air pollution. What will happen is the pollution will affect the world, and if you do too much pollution or don't counteract your pollution, then the trees and creatures and stuff like that will start dying out. And if there's no food for, let's say, the deer to eat, then the deer will start dying out, and vice versa. And everything has a knock-on effect. So when you're playing, you really got to be careful with what you're harvesting, when you're harvesting it, what pollution you're doing, making sure that you don't knock out all the trees, because trees counteract air pollution and stuff like that. And that's one of the great things about the website you can host, is you can track all that. All the information is there, and you can be like, guys, we're actually like generating quite a lot of air pollution. Maybe we should have a couple of people go out and plant like loads of trees. But then you've got to think about that, because trees take like 6 days, I think it's like 140 hours to grow to full maturity. So if you need to plant some trees, it's not like a 4 or 5 hour thing. It's a system of, right, I need to go and plant some trees because we're just about to start producing 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 cars, and those cars are going to pump out air pollution, and I want to make sure I'm counteracting that with the amount of trees I've got. You can see all the wildlife and so on and so forth going around. So it's a really interesting game. It's a kind of a survival game, crafty game, but like there's no death or health bars or anything like that. If an animal, like for instance, the wolves and panthers in the game, well, not panthers, but jaguars, sorry, they will attack you very infrequently. You don't really need to work about it. But what it'll do is it won't take health, because there's no health in the game. It'll take away calories, which is interesting. And that brings us to the calorie system. So when you craft food, you've got to eat. So when you craft food, which will go to my kitchen here. There you go. Will's sweet loving food. And this is my kitchen. And in my kitchen, I am making food. And this food gives carbs, proteins, fats, and vitamins, and calories. Now, we're going to stick with calories for a minute. You can have a max, when you level up, you have a max of 4,250 calories. And that calorie count, you can put towards jobs. So I can go to this machine here, for instance, and I can go to crafting, and I can select some crafts, and I can say, I want to make 10 autumn stew. And click order. And I've placed the order. And everyone in the server can see this order in this machine. And anyone who has the skills to make autumn stew can then place calories or labor on this job, and it will start crafting. And that's the a part of the cooperative aspect of this game. Is it can really be like, I'm going to stick a load of iron ore in, and all the iron ore guys can go, who can make iron, can go and add calories to that job, and then it's a collaborative effort to create that ore. And one of the greatest things which we haven't played around with too much, because there's only 4 of us, is this here. And you can contract board. You can make a contract and say, I would like someone to harvest this much carcasses for meat. And someone can go and do that. And with the integrated citizenship systems and government systems, you can pay that person a currency to then do that job. And that person can then use that currency to buy food and so on and so forth. Now, you don't have to use that system. I'm not going to go too much into that system because we haven't used any of it. We've just played for fun. But you can go very RP with it, where everyone has a specific job and gets paid for that specific job, and you can do wages and crazy, crazy stuff. But I won't get into that because, like I said, I don't have too much experience into that. So yeah, so you have food and use the food's calories to then complete jobs or assign calories or labor to a job, and then the time it takes for the job to be completed. Now, the other part of food is the leveling up system. Now, down the bottom left here, we have 2 circles, and we have some points here and some points here and a glowing star. And we have a list of this here. So each one of these is a skill. A skill gets maxed to 7 levels. You always start off with self-improvement specialist. Everyone starts off with that by default, and a point. And what happens is you can then pick a skill to then specialize in. And you can see how many people have specialized into specific skills and what level they are. So people in the server, 4 people have taken oil drilling, 3 people at level 7, 1 person's at level 4. And then, so let's say I want to take, let's just pick something here. Electronics. So, basic engineering. We'll take basic engineering because there's a book system which we'll get into. So I click learn, and I now have basic engineering. And I can create all these things with basic engineering. And as I make these things, I get experience. And as I go up levels, I'll unlock more things. You see here, so there's a powered cart recipe, and there is a hand plow recipe. There is also it decreases the calorie consumption when doing basic engineering tasks. So it costs me less food to then make these objects as I go up levels, meaning you're more efficient at that job than someone who isn't level 7. And they also have at level 3 and level 6, you also have talent choices. So if we go to chefing, you can see that when you've clicked this, I've had 2 options, and I've picked the lavish workspace cooking, and there was another one as well. Now this game is in early access, so not all of them are there. For instance, in hunting, I think this is the only option to take at the moment. The other ones are work in progress, but this allows me to recover my arrows when I'm hunting for beasties. Yeah, so that's it. It means that specializing in a specific thing and leveling that up is very important, because if you don't have a specialization, you cannot get, or you cannot make the roads, for instance. You can't make asphalt if you don't have basic engineering. So you become important to the server. And that's the idea, is you might have some people and who go into mining, and then the miners need, or the basic engineers need the miners to collect the resources to make asphalt. And then you can make roads that then speed up travel. So it gives you a modifier to your cars, which we can show you here because we've got asphalt everywhere. So that the miners then can deliver goods faster. Now you see the bottom right hand corner over here. You've got a speed 1.8. Now if I drive on dirt or grass, this car is now at 0.8 of its speed. And if we drive on asphalt, it's at 1.8 of its speed. So having better surfaces to drive on gives you bigger benefits to speeding up travel and allowing you to deliver goods and cargo quicker. So you can see all our big stockpiles here is we can take some of this. We can take some clay, put it in the vehicle. Because that's another thing as well, is all these stockpiles are connected just by how close they are together. So I can transfer some farming equipment from a stockpile, which I think is over there, and I can just drag it into my car, which makes life very, very easy. And then we can drive along our road here, through our mountain, to the oil refinery, and we can deliver resources to the oil refinery. You see there's a copper mine here. So yeah, so it becomes, asphalt then becomes not just a pretty road surface to mark out where roads are, but also becomes a benefit to the game. And that's a running theme with everything in this game, is everything has a benefit. If it's asphalt or upgrade modules to make things more efficient and stuff like that. So that's a really good way of doing it. You see this is our oil mine down here. We've tried to make it a little bit eco-friendly, and that's the asteroid. So as we can see, the asteroid, this is one of my favorite things in the game. This asteroid, when you first jump into the game, there'll be an asteroid in the sky, and it'll have a timer like mine does here, and that is how long you have in real world minutes. You see it ticking down by seconds. Real world minutes, how long you have until the asteroid hits into the planet and destroys everything. And the idea is that you build up your technology by crafting new and better things, to bake lasers, and then you shoot with lasers the asteroid out of the sky, and you have a time limit to do it. And the idea is you all work together to then complete that objective. And I love this. One thing I struggle with in sandbox games is I struggle with the fact that I'm not very good at making myself an objective. So as soon as I jumped in this game, it was like, your objective is this, go. I like having freedom of choice. I like finding things out for myself. But I do need an objective. I don't want my hand being held. And this game does it really, really well. But it's like, there's an asteroid in the air and it's going to kill you. It's going to wipe out the planet. But so off you go. Go and win. Which is fantastic. It's really, really good. I love the fact it gives you that objective, but doesn't hold your hand doing it. So that's really, really good. Now, the food system and the leveling up system combined together, you generally make 1 experience point. And as you can see, if I hover over my level, it will take me 875 experience to go up a level. But I only go up one experience a real world day. So I'm never gonna level up. Now these things are justified by server modifiers, how fast this works, and and your collaboration level. But the main thing is that you generally, if you're playing on a large server, and if the settings are set to the defaults, you will never be able to unlock everything. You will never have as many skills as I have. You might have 4 or 5. So you need other people to help you. And one of the ways of increasing this experience gain is by food and housing. So I have a plus 145.4 modifier to my experience that comes from nutrition. And the way I have done that is I have balanced out carbs, proteins, fats, and vitamins by eating specific food to balance those out. And if you hover over this circle, you can see what's in my stomach, because I have vegetable soup and pad thai curry. And that's giving me the carbs, proteins, fats, and vitamins, and and that's where I'm getting my modifiers from. So it comes from what I can tell, it comes from the number of calories you consume, plus the balance of your carbs, proteins, fats, and vitamins will give you a modifier to your experience. And then if you hover over your experience down the bottom, it'll say how many days or hours or minutes it's going to be until your next level up. So if I keep my food at 145.4, I will, and my housing stays at 21.1, I will level up in 3 days and 22 hours. Which is a very cool system in my opinion. And then housing is adjusted by the numbers of, or the type of resources you use to build your house and what you have inside your house. So you can see here that the kitchen is worth 19.99 points and is a material quality 2. So we've improved the materials that have built the kitchen, and we have put items in the in this room that create a kitchen. So the game recognizes it that it's a room. Then it recognizes, you've put stoves in the room, so the room is now a kitchen. And then you get a bonus modifier. So the room value was soft capped from 108.5 to 19.99 due to materials. So if we upgraded this room to a better material, like a tier 3 or 4 material, it means the bonuses we would be getting for this house would be a lot larger, and therefore our total modifier to experience would go up, and we would level up faster. So everything you do in the game helps you level up faster and affects your performance to level up your skills, from the food you're eating to the resources you make your houses out of, so what is inside your house. So it's a real benefit it's a real balancing act between, do you want to improve your house and your home so you can level up faster, gain more materials, gain access to better equipment, or do you want to focus on building infrastructure, or do you want to focus on building equipment to destroy the asteroid? Now, we have failed. We have failed spectacularly. This server has been running for 30 days. We've got 6 hours left, and we haven't got any lasers. We're going to die in 6 hours. At the end of the video, I'm going to put a clip there of what happened in 6 hours time when we all die gloriously. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you don't have to watch it. But if you do want to see what happens in 6 hours time, you can go to the end of the video and watch that. But I focused too much on farming at the very beginning. And my friend Kane made an asphalt bridge to our second continent. I focused so much on having good food that actually I should have been helping mining and gathering resources, and that, linked with a number of different things that a few players chose, has led to our downfall, and we didn't work hard enough. And even with 170 hours in the game, we're not going to make it. So, and you could say, well, Will, you've just played 170 hours for what? For nothing. This is my farm, by the way. So I came over and I dug all these out to make. Here's a rice farm over here, because certain foods can only grow in certain areas. So you can come make sure use a soil tester to test the soil and make sure rice can grow there, and then you put a rice field there. Anyway, you're saying, Will, 170 hours for what? For nothing. Like, yes, yeah, pretty much. And that leads me to some of the criticisms of the game. Because 170 hours is a massive amount of time. And like, putting that much time into the game for it to become a failure really sucks. And when we realized we weren't gonna win, we added up a lot of the times it's gonna take to maintain all the machines and a lot of the grindy aspects of the game. We were like, I don't want to spend the next 5 days, real world days, farming materials literally just using the excavator to farm out materials to then pump into an iron smeltery to then produce materials. And it's like the collaboration point of the game makes a lot of sense because you could have people do that at the same point as you making other things and doing bits and pieces, and you use it as a collaboration. But if you have less people, then you're gonna have to stop doing one thing and start doing some of the more manual labor sort of parts of the game, and that is a definite criticism. And it is definitely, you could say, yeah, but if you lower the collaboration and know how the game works and prep yourself properly and build infrastructure, and you're right. Next time we play the game, we will be doing things a lot more efficient, a lot more. We'll adjust server settings for our specific group so we could play. So it's still a challenge, but we can play without having to like put in 170 hours into one game over a course of 4 weeks. But at the same time, that is still the aspect of the game, and it's still part of the game. If you are going to play this game, you're going to find yourself grinding out materials monotonously. You're going to find yourself grinding out materials consistently. And it's one of those games where you are going to stick on a film and grind out and mine materials and excavate areas and dig tunnels and find copper veins and do these for hours on end. It's just the fact of the game. It's just one of those games. And some people love that. Some people do. And I have enjoyed doing it. There's a reason why I've got 170 hours into the game. Because I have sat here in an excavator mining a lot of materials. Like tens of thousands of blocks. So yeah, that is definitely a part of the game that honestly kind of sucks. One of the issues is once you start off with a pickaxe, and you can level that pickaxe up from stone to iron to I think a modern day pickaxe and through the way. But there's from the pickaxe you get at the beginning of the game to an excavator, which is sort of like end game progression. There's not a whole lot there difference. There's no like jackhammer or anything like that which you can use to like mine multiple blocks or becomes a lot faster to mine blocks. Once you've got your mining to level 7 and you've got your perks that help mine faster, and they certainly do help, there's not a whole lot of progression. And I think that's one of the things this game definitely needs, is it needs its progression line to be fine-tuned. It needs a few bits of equipment and technologies that you can build to help your progression in those grindy aspects of the game. Even if it's like a big drill, steam drill or something, just something that's easier to mine with to help the monotony of that kind of gameplay. Because I think even if you do have 75 people saying, "Oi, you over there, your job is to mine. You mine all day. You mine, you mine, you mine. That's your job. We're going to do the government system and the civil system and use that to just pay you a wage so you can buy food and clothes and blah, 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 blah." It's still not engaging gameplay to just sit there and mine endlessly. So I think having more tools and being able to buy and build tools to gain an advantage in that sort of aspect would be better. What would be really cool is if they got to the stage where they made lasers and stuff harder to build, but they added in a technology era after the modern age where you get excavators and dump trucks and all this kind of stuff. Is after that, they could do some sort of robotic era. So the lasers could be a lot more expensive than they are and a lot harder to build, but you could cut out the monotony of the game where you start building technologies that help you automate systems. And that might not be the point of the game, right? They might turn around, and that's not what we're aiming for. We're aiming for this collaboration, but it would be better as a game for a smaller group to have that sort of level of technology in the game. In my personal opinion, I do think it's missing that. Luckily, the game does have mod support, which is reasonably active. And I hope that like Minecraft, people are able to build on this game with mods to make it more engaging. Not necessarily criticism, but definitely a note is graphically the game is not good looking, in my opinion. It has an art style, and the art style is fine. One thing I think it should be commended for is the graphics show you a fine definition between different types of materials, from ore to asphalt to sandstone to granite to iron, gold, copper. Those materials are the art style makes it very easy to recognize what material is what. So that is really, really good. But generally, the game isn't necessarily pretty. It's easy on the eyes, maybe is the right way to say it. It's not ugly, but it's not sort of like blow your mind. Like even Minecraft, when you look over certain areas of the Minecraft and the sun's coming up, even Minecraft can look good. But this doesn't have the same draw to it, the same art aesthetic in its art style. Its art style is good, usable, practical, but it's not got that artistic touch to it, like something like, I don't know, Terraria or Minecraft has, where they have an artistic spin that make the games look good. Yeah, so there's that, and there's a few other things like the design of the tooltips when you're in the game and you are looking over tooltips to create A, B, and Z. There's definite improvements that need to be made. So for instance, if we go back to my base quick, there we go. So in here, for instance, you could turn around and say like large rugs, right? So a large rug is going to cost 20 cloth, 15 fiber, and 40 yarn, right? And that's fine. So you can say 10 rugs, and it then adjusts that and tells you how much it's needed. But what happens, we'll show this with the nylon weave actually, is you could say 16, right? So you go and make 16 of this, or start to make 16 of this. This is 4's missing. So you can hover over this, and it says 4's missing. And then down below, where it says, for the remaining 49, you need 196. So what it actually is the remaining literally means remaining. So you're making 50. So you're going to need 200 nylon thread. But there's no number that says the actual total. It has the remaining and it has the current. And that is fine. But it would be really nice just to have an element that says, yep, I actually need this total. Because when you start to get into the big machinery and you're looking at something like an advanced circuit needs copper wire, gold flakes, and substrates. And then you go and build some substrates, and you've got fiberglass and epoxy, and then you go and make fiberglass, and you've got these chains of you need to build so much of this, so much of this, so much of this. What ends up happening is you end up losing. You don't want to be doing fiddly math to figure out exactly what you have. For instance, this fiberglass, right? We've crafted 188 of 566. We've got 3 plastic, 0.5 glass, and 150 labor. And we need 1,134 plastic and 567 glass. So you can go and grab that, and you go and make the glass, 567 glass, but that is actually not the glass you need. What you actually need is 568 glass. And it would be nice just to have that, the total glass needed for the recipe, because then you could go and stick on 105 substrates, look at the number and say, right, 312 epoxy, go and make 312 epoxy. But at the moment, what you're having to do is you have to go, right, 105 substrates, that's 312 epoxy plus the extra 3 epoxy, so that's 115 epoxy, and then you go over to the machine, which may be the other end of the map because oil is only produced in certain areas on the map, and then you go and do 100, 350 epoxy. And it's not like a big thing. It's a quality of life that would just be nice, because there's been a number of times where we've been, wait a minute, we've just spent 3 hours making these basic circuits or advanced circuits, which are very expensive, and we actually need 2 more, because the thing we're making had already taken into consideration the 2 of the recipe that it's active, and we missed doing the calculation for the remaining plus the active, not just the remaining. And it's like little things like that which would be really, really, really nice. Yeah, we're going to lose. But it was fun playing. It was fun working with a group of people to achieve a goal. And that was what we really enjoyed about it. We working together to achieve a goal. And next time we play, because we have a little bit of information about how the game works now, we're not going completely blind, we can modify the server so that it's not as hard, and we can tailor it to our specific play styles, and so we may be able to achieve our goal. And not only that, but because we know more about the game, we will be able to do things faster, we will be able to play the game more efficiently, and our second run may only be 150 hours, which I know is kind of ridiculous to say, but it may be 150 hours, and we'll be able to beat it in that time, because we have more information to go on. So this is one of those games where you really might have 2, 3, 4 different playthroughs until you beat the actual game and then kill the asteroid, which is great. So the game has lots and lots of longevity. Now, there is a lot more to this game, but if I'm perfectly honest, if I sat here and explained to you everything this game has to offer, I would be here for probably 2 or 3 hours, and no one wants to watch a 2 or 3 hour video of me going into granular detail of all the mechanics of this game. There are a few issues with the game. UI, in my opinion, is a big one. At the top right hand here, you have the list of all your jobs, and it shows 4 things. I probably have a grand total of maybe 20 different jobs going right now in my game. But to be able to see them, as far as I'm aware, I have to go to the specific machine, and I have to actually interact with it and see my job lists, my crafting table here. The top right only shows the most recent jobs you've put on. What I'd really like to see is a panel somewhere that shows you all the jobs you have listed, and not just the last 5 you've listed, because it's really hard to keep track of all your jobs and making sure everything's running efficiently and smoothly and constantly producing materials if you just can see 5. My thought was maybe up here you could have a scroll wheel function to scroll through the job lists or something like that. But yeah, so that's not great. The other thing is when hunting, the animal AI is very jumpy, so you miss a lot of shots with your bow and arrow because the animals sort of just stop suddenly or do weird patterns or freak out, stuff like that. But this game is only early access, so I'm not going to be talking. We've ran into quite a few bugs and things like this, nothing game breaking. So I'm not going to be talking too much about bugs and bits and pieces like that because it's an early access game. And even though they are selling a game, I will say that if you're selling a game, you should be put up for scrutiny because you're selling a product. But it's in early access, you do get a little bit of leeway with bugs and things like this. But generally, the game is good. The game is playable. The game is enjoyable. It's engaging. So I'm not going to say it's buggy and rubbish and you shouldn't play it because it's not. But there is bugs. You should certainly expect bugs in the game. So yeah, Eco. There's not a game like it. I certainly have missed a lot of information when it comes down to the granular information about the game. But there's a huge amount in the game to experience and play and enjoy. And if you are into crafting and survival games, if you're into ecological simulators, then this game is definitely up your street. It gets to the point where if you destroy all the trees, then the ground starts changing because you've messed up the ground, and then there's nothing growing. So like deer start dying and animals start dying because they don't eat anything, and then wolves start dying because all like the deer have died and stuff like this. So the game has got a lot going for it in the case of like you really have to be careful with your impact on the planet itself, because at the end of the day, you could mess up the planet so much that you don't even get to the point where the asteroid's coming for you. You may, if you have sort of 20 people on a server and they all go out and harvest materials and sort of landscape the whole world, then there's no world to really save in the first place. So yeah, as you can see, we've done quite well with our balance between, well, I say quite well, but at the end of the day, we're going to lose. So have we done that well? But yeah, we have not destroyed any forests. We've replanted quite well. You see there's lots of animal life running around and is okay. So we haven't destroyed a few things. A few days ago, when this iron production facility down here was really going for it, the sea, as you can see, it's slightly tinted down, but the sea was like completely orange. As you can see out there, you can see pollution in the water. The whole sea was like that, and it looked dreadful. It looked absolutely revolting. What a world, we're going to have a world to save anyway. But yeah, so that's Eco. If you did like this video, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. And yeah, hope you have a great day. And Eco, pick it up on Steam for about £24 or your regional equivalent. And we'll see you around. Cheers, guys.